Coming live from the Tivoli Met Radio studio here on the Auraria campus, this is All Sports with Gerardo. Thank you for listening to All Sports through Met Radio on mymetmedia.com, live every Thursday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. This is your host Gerardo, and all I talk is sports. On the show today, I'm going to talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, and NHL hockey. So before I start the show, I hope y'all had a great week. To start off with Major League Baseball, the Yankees acquired Edwin Encarnacion from the Mariners. Cole Hamels now has 2,500 career strikeouts. The Dodgers are the first team to win 50 games this season. In the Rockies-Padres series last weekend, in the 4-game series at Coors Field, there was 92 combined runs, which was the most runs scored in a 4-game series in Major League Baseball history. Charlie Blackmon was named National League Player of the Week. Last week, Charlie Blackmon had a .568 batting average, 6 home runs, and 15 RBIs. Trevor Story was placed on the 10-day injured list for a right thumb sprain, and Brendan Rodgers was recalled from AAA. So right now I'm going to update you with the current Rockies schedule and tell you what teams they went up against this past week and the final scores from those games. And I'm also going to tell you what teams the Rockies go against this weekend and going into next week. So to start off, after the Rockies played the Cubs this past week here at Coors Field, last weekend the Rockies had a divisional matchup, which was a 4-game series against the Padres here at Coors Field. In the first game, the Rockies won the game 9-6. In the second game, the Rockies ended up losing this game in the 12th inning, 16-12. In the third game, the Rockies won the game 14-8. And in the last game, the Rockies lost a close game, 14-13. So the Rockies ended up splitting this series with the Padres, but they could have swept the Padres. They should have swept them because they should have won that second game on Friday that went into the 12th inning, and they should have won the last game. In both of those games, the Rockies were winning in the 9th inning. All they had to do was close the game with one of their pitchers. They brought in different pitchers, and they also brought in Wade Davis to close the Friday game and the Sunday game. The pitchers before Wade Davis and Wade Davis ended up blowing the game, which had those games being tied in the 9th inning. The Friday game went all the way to the 12th inning. In the Sunday game, ended up going past the top of the 9th inning. So unfortunately, the Rockies had big leads in both of these games, but they couldn't hold on to the lead and close the game in the 9th inning. And they ended up losing some close games against the Padres. Otherwise, this should have been a sweep against the Padres. In all of these games, the Padres ended up scoring first, and the Rockies were trailing and having to come back, and the Rockies were able to come back. They just weren't able to win those 2 games that they should have won. This past week, the Rockies hit the road. They started their 9-game road trip down in Arizona. The Rockies had a series against their divisional rival, the Diamondbacks, this past week. In the first game, the Rockies won the game 8-1. And in the second game, the Rockies won the game 6-4. In the last game, we're going to have to wait and see if the Rockies end up winning this game. But the Rockies were able to win the first and second game of this series, so they ended up winning this series. This weekend, the Rockies continue their road trip, and they go against another divisional rival, the Dodgers, down in Los Angeles. And then next week, the Rockies finish up their road trip in San Francisco, and they go against another divisional rival, the Giants, up in San Francisco. To finish off the month, the Rockies return back to Coors Field and they go against the Dodgers. So we're going to have to wait and see how the Rockies play, but for the rest of June, they go against all of their divisional teams. The Major League Baseball All-Star Ballot is open, and make sure to vote for your favorite players or the best players into the 2019 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Make sure to continue voting for Nolan Arenado, but also vote for Trevor Story and Charlie Blackmon. We need to keep Nolan Arenado in first among all third basemen in the National League. We need to move Trevor Story from fourth and move him into the top 3 among shortstops in the National League. And we need to move Charlie Blackmon from 9th and get him up into the top 5 among outfielders in the National League. So make sure to continue voting for the upcoming 2019 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Right now I'm going to give you the current Major League Baseball standings in the American and National League. To start off in the American League, in the American League East, right now the Yankees are leading this division at 46 games, and the next closest team is the Rays by 3.5 games, sitting at 43 games. In the American League Central, right now the Twins are leading this division at 48 games, and the next closest team is the Indians, sitting 9.5 games back at 39 games. And in the American League West, right now the Astros are leading this division at 48 games, and the next closest team is the Rangers by 9 games, and they're sitting at 40 games. In the National League East, right now the Braves are leading this division at 44 games, and the next closest team is the Phillies by 4 games, and they're sitting at 39 games. In the National League Central, right now the Cubs are leading this division at 40 games, but the Brewers are right behind them by half a game, and they're also sitting at 40 games. And the next closest team to the Cubs and the Brewers is the Cardinals by 2 games, and they're sitting at 38 games. In the National League West, right now the Dodgers are leading this division at 50 games, and they're the first team to reach 50 games this season. The next closest team is the Rockies by 10 games, and they're sitting at 39 games. So that's the current Major League Baseball standings in the American and National League. In the Major League Baseball Power Rankings, the current top 10 Major League Baseball teams are the Astros, Dodgers, Twins, Yankees, Rays, Braves, Cubs, Phillies, Brewers, and Red Sox. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the NFL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to NFL football. On Thursday, June 13, Broncos owner Pat Bowlen died at the age of 75 in Denver after a long battle with Alzheimer's disease. Pat Bowlen became the owner of the Broncos in 1984, and he was the owner of the team for 34 years. Since 1984, the Broncos have won the Super Bowl 3 times, Super Bowl 32, 33, and 50. The team has appeared in the Super Bowl 7 times. They have won the AFC West 13 times. The team won 300 games in 30 years. The team has won 348 games since 1984, and the team has more Super Bowl appearances than losing seasons. This August, Pat Bowlen will be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame, and he will be a part of the 2019 NFL Hall of Fame inductees. On Tuesday, June 18th, the Bowlen family and the Broncos organization had an open house tribute to honor the life and legacy of Pat Bowlen at Broncos Stadium at Mile High. More than 5,000 guests went to Broncos Stadium at Mile High to view Pat Bowlen's items, memorabilia, and to give their condolences to the Bowlen family that was greeting and thanking every attendee that came to the open house tribute for Pat Bowlen. The Broncos will honor Pat Bowlen with a tribute before their first regular season home game against the Bears, and the team will wear an orange helmet deco with Mr. B during the 2019 season. So this was sad news coming out of Broncos country, and it's definitely a huge loss to Broncos country. But I want to say thank you to everything that Pat Bowlen contributed to the Broncos organization for making it one of the best NFL organizations in the NFL. He contributed a lot on and off the field. He had great relationships with players and personnel within the organization. And he also did a lot for the Denver community and for the rest of the community throughout Colorado. The Bowlen family, the organization, the fans, and the communities will not forget what Pat Bowlen did for them and the relationship he had with him. Pat Bowlen was more than just an owner. He loved and cared for everyone within the Broncos organization. Pat Bowlen also had a great relationship with everyone within the organization. Pat Bowlen will truly be missed by Broncos country. But I know Broncos country would thank Pat Bowlen for everything he's done for the organization for the last 3.5 decades. There's no doubt that Pat Bowlen is one of the best owners in the NFL and in all of sports. And the Broncos, they're definitely one of the best teams in the NFL. So I'm glad that Pat Bowlen will be inducted into the 2019 NFL Hall of Fame this August up in Canton, Ohio. Pat Bowlen definitely deserves it, and I'm glad that the NFL noticed and recognized everything Pat Bowlen did for the Broncos organization and for the rest of the NFL. It's sad that Pat Bowlen's gone so soon. Broncos country will definitely miss him, but we'll never forget what Pat Bowlen did for this organization. So rest in peace, Pat Bowlen. After playing 16 seasons in the NFL with 10 different teams, quarterback Josh McCown announced he's retiring from the NFL. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the NBA and NHL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to NBA basketball. Klay Thompson moved into third in all-time three-pointers made in the NBA playoffs. Andre Iguodala moved into 13th in all-time three-pointers made in the NBA Finals. The Pelicans traded Anthony Davis to the Lakers for Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and 3 first-round picks, which includes the 4th pick in this year's NBA draft. The Pelicans have the 1st and 4th pick in this year's NBA draft, and are likely going to draft Zion Williamson with the 1st pick. The Grizzlies traded Mike Conley to the Jazz for Jay Cowher, Kyle Clover, Grayson Allen, the 23rd pick in this year's NBA draft, and a future 1st-round pick. Jimmy Butler is opting out of his $19.8 million deal for next season, and he will become a free agent. Al Horford declined his player option for next season with the Celtics, and he is going to become a free agent. Julius Randle declined his player option for next season with the Pelicans, and he is going to become a free agent. Harrison Barnes declined his player option for next season, and he is going to become a free agent. It's very unlikely the Nets are going to keep D'Angelo Russell on their roster if they sign Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is prepared to sign with the Nets this offseason, so we're going to have to wait and see what the Nets do. If they keep D'Angelo Russell, we're going to have to wait and see if they go after one of the free agents available. If they don't keep D'Angelo Russell, then they have the opportunity of signing 2 max contracts, which would include 2 big-name free agents. So we're going to have to wait and see what the Nets do during free agency. The 2019 NBA Draft is on Thursday, June 20th. In this year's NBA Draft, the Pelicans have the first pick from the Knicks. The Grizzlies have the second pick. The Knicks have the third pick from the Pelicans. The Pelicans have the fourth pick from the Anthony Davis trade to the Lakers. And the Cavaliers have the fifth pick. According to the NBA mock draft, here are the potential top 5 picks in this year's NBA Draft. Zion Williamson is the first overall pick to the Pelicans. J.A. Morant is the second pick to the Grizzlies. R.J. Barnett is the third pick to the Knicks. Darius Garland is the fourth pick to the Pelicans. And DeAndre Hunter is the fifth pick to the Cavaliers. Game 6 in Oakland at the Oracle Arena on Thursday, June 13th was the last Warriors game at Oracle Arena. Next season, the Warriors are relocating to San Francisco, and their new arena will be called Chase Center, and it's a few blocks away from Oracle Park. On Thursday, June 13th, Klay Thompson had to leave in Game 6 with 2:22 remaining in the third quarter due to a left knee injury. After Klay Thompson had an MRI, it confirmed he tore his ACL in his left knee, and his road back to playing on the court starts now. According to Michael Thompson, he said, "There's no question Klay Thompson resigns with the Warriors, so we're going to have to wait and see, but Klay Thompson is expected to become a free agent, and we don't know if he's going to resign with the Warriors or sign with a different team. We're going to have to wait and see what happens during free agency." It's very likely Klay Thompson may miss most of the season or the entire season next season. So we're going to have to wait and see if the Warriors do re-sign Klay Thompson, but it's very likely that the Warriors would not be able to keep and afford Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant. Steph Curry already has a max contract. Klay Thompson would be another big contract. And also adding Kevin Durant to the mix, that would be another big contract, and that would be pretty close to the Warriors' salary cap. So the Warriors wouldn't be able to sign some of their bench players to a new contract, and they wouldn't be able to afford signing other players to potentially come off the bench for the Warriors. So it's very likely that Klay Thompson will become a free agent, or he's going to re-sign with the Warriors. But I could definitely see Kevin Durant opting out of his player option for next season with the Warriors and becoming a free agent, which he would likely sign with a different team. So the Warriors team next year can possibly look different, and it may or may not include Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant. But Klay Thompson is expected to miss most of the season with an ACL tear. And Kevin Durant is expected to miss the entire season with an Achilles injury. So it's very likely that Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant is going to miss most of the season or the entire season next season. And we're going to have to wait and see if Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant, or if one of these players re-sign with the Warriors, or one of these players or both of these players sign with a different team during free agency. But the Warriors team can definitely look different next season. And whatever team one of these players or both of these players play with next season, that could definitely affect their new team, since both of these players are likely going to miss most of the season or the entire season. The Toronto Raptors are the 2018-2019 NBA champions. This is the first time the Raptors have won the NBA Finals in franchise history. Kawhi Leonard won the NBA Finals MVP. He is the first player to win Finals MVP in both conferences. He is the third player to win Finals MVP with two different teams. He is a two-time NBA champion and Finals MVP with the Spurs and Raptors. Kawhi Leonard is expected to become a free agent this offseason. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens here. It's a 50-50 chance that Kawhi Leonard returns back to the Toronto Raptors next year. But the other 50-50 chance is Kawhi Leonard is going to become a free agent. One of the teams that is favored and has the highest chance of getting Kawhi Leonard is the Los Angeles Clippers. So we're going to have to wait and see if the Raptors re-sign Kawhi Leonard to a new contract, or if Kawhi Leonard's going to become a free agent this offseason and he's going to sign with a different team, which may be the Los Angeles Clippers. But the Clippers is definitely one of the top destinations for Kawhi Leonard. Pau and Marc Gasol are the first set of brothers to win NBA titles. Patrick McCaw has won 3 NBA titles in the last 3 years with the Warriors back-to-back years and with the Raptors this year. So looking at the Raptors-Warriors in the NBA Finals, this was definitely a great NBA Finals. Game 4 was in Golden State. Game 4 was on Friday, June 7. The Raptors won this game 105-92. After Game 4, at this point, the Raptors had a 3-1 lead over the Warriors. Game 5 was in Toronto. Game 5 was on Monday, June 10th. The Raptors definitely had the advantage since they had a 3-1 lead over the Warriors. They were up in Toronto. They were on their home court. They had their fans. All they had to do was win one more game, and they were NBA champions. What a great story. They were up in Toronto. They had a 3-1 lead over the Warriors. It was going to be the first time that they won the NBA Finals, but unfortunately, the Warriors beat the Raptors in Game 5, 106-105. The Raptors only lost this game by 1 point. It was definitely disappointing for the Raptors since they were up in Toronto, and the Warriors forced to Game 6. Game 6 was in Golden State. Game 6 was on Thursday, June 13th. The Raptors ended up winning a close game, 114-110. The Raptors ended up winning the NBA Finals in Golden State. Game 6 at Oracle Arena was the last game the Warriors will ever play at Oracle Arena. Next season, the Warriors are relocating to San Francisco, and they're going to play in Chase Center, which will be their new arena in San Francisco. So the Warriors definitely have a lot of memories at the Oracle Arena in Oakland, but they're definitely looking forward to moving to San Francisco and making new memories at the Chase Center. So the Raptors are the 2018-2019 NBA champions. The Raptors ended up winning the NBA Finals in Golden State, just like the Cavaliers won the NBA Finals in Golden State a few years ago. So congrats to the Raptors on having a great season and winning the NBA Finals, and for being NBA champions for the first time in franchise history. This year's NBA Finals was definitely a great series. The Raptors had a slight advantage since they were playing great basketball, and the Warriors were without Kevin Durant throughout most of the playoffs and going into the NBA Finals. If the Warriors would have had a healthy Kevin Durant playing in the NBA Finals, and if the Warriors didn't have the Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson injury during the NBA Finals in Game 5 and Game 6, this could have been a different series. After the Warriors won back-to-back NBA Finals these past 2 years, the Warriors wanted to win this year's NBA Finals and win the NBA Finals and have a three-peat in the last 3 years. But unfortunately, the Raptors ended up playing better basketball, and the Raptors ended up winning the NBA Finals 4-2 against the Warriors. So congrats to the Raptors on having a great season this year and for winning the NBA Finals. We're going to have to wait and see what happens this offseason during free agency. But the Raptors and Warriors, both teams, can definitely look different next season. The Raptors may not have Kawhi Leonard on their team, and the Warriors may or may not have Kevin Durant or Klay Thompson or both players next season. So we're going to have to wait and see what the Raptors and Warriors roster looks like next season. On Monday, June 17th, the Raptors had their championship parade in Toronto. Moving on now to NHL hockey. The 2019 NHL Draft is this weekend. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about golf and the end of the show. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to golf. Gary Woodland is a 2019 U.S. Open champion. It's the first time Gary Woodland has won a major championship. Moving on now to end the show. What to watch for this week in sports: the 2019 NBA Draft, the 2019 NHL Draft, Major League Baseball, the Rockies. Moving on now, on the next show, I will talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, and NHL hockey. I hope you all have a great weekend, Tune in to the next All Sports with Gerardo show next Thursday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. I want to say thank you to everybody that listens to All Sports through Met Radio here on mymetmedia.com. Subscribe or like my pages on social media at All Sports with Gerardo. Until next time, this is Gerardo.